What's up, YouTube? Let's have a conversation about voice AI and AI startups. We're here at LG's Innofest, and this discussion is brought to you by LG Nova. I can't be more excited to introduce the guests we have with us here today. We have, first of all, Norman Winarksy, the founder of Siri. Norman, great to see you.
Co-founder. Yep.
Co-founder. See, already humble. And Sokwoo Rhee is here. He is the head of innovation at LG, also familiar face on our channel. Sokwoo, great to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right, so it's great to have you. Let's talk immediately about the topic at hand. Because Mark Zuckerberg recently said something very interesting about voice AI, and when I heard it, I was like, well, I'm speaking with the co-founder of Siri. Got to ask him. He said, I think voice is going to be a way more natural way of interacting with AI than text. ChatGPT gets all of the excitement, all the interest. Is voice the future of artificial intelligence? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I love voice because I co-founded Siri. I love how you speak to Siri, but I disagree.
Wait. You, the co-founder of Siri, are disagreeing about voice. This is a moment here.
I was co-founder of Siri. I disagree that voice is going to be the primary way that we're going to interact with AI.
Why is that?
It's, first of all, we're used to text. Text also with AI has a lot more flexibility in how we write, what we think, what we want to expand on, what our thoughts are. AI can help us in all of that. Voice is a little more constrained. First of all, you're usually just near each other or near your iPhone or other Android phone. So basically, why do you constrain things to voice alone? I don't see that as necessarily the dominant form.
You're saying the way we interact with artificial intelligence is going to be a combination: voice, multimodal, text, video.
Exactly. And in the future, yeah, as you said, audio, imagery, and we won't even understand that AI isn't any different than interacting with our devices any other way.
So just a new interaction layer.
It's a new layer of interaction. An intelligent layer of interaction.
If you could go back again, building Siri, doing it with voice or text?
Oh, I'd still do voice.
Was a good decision.
Yeah.
Zucko, let's go to you. What do you think about this statement from Zuckerberg that voice is going to be the most natural way that we interact with artificial intelligence?
I'll tend to agree with Norman because I think there's these two modes of communicating going to coexist, but it really going to come down to what you're going to use it for. For example, if you're giving a command, especially short command, probably voice going to work. Like, turn off the light, turn on the light, right? But if you really need to understand a complex sort of an article or complex writing, it's probably much easier and faster.
Text is going to allow you to use multimedia, as you're saying, other articles, news, other voice information, video information. So you could say, hey, combine this all, give me a summary, whatever. Text is going to be a dominant form, and for a long time.
Yeah, I was just speaking with some folks in the industry today, and they said something like you can speak at 150 words per minute, but you can read at 200 to 300 words per minute. So it's a very effective way to deliver information. Maybe we go to brain-computer interfaces eventually, and we do 1,000 words a minute, but we're not there yet.
Well, and it's not just going to, in the future, it's not just text. I mean, your brain, for example, has signals in it that could be just as well be words. It could be, AI could be interpreting those signals, or AI could be interpreting your health in terms of your biomarker. So there's many ways that AI will be talking to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Talking figuratively because it can be intuiting what you're feeling.
Exactly.
Okay. So, Norman, you're investing in startups these days.
To do, or help create them.
Yes, and help create. Sokwoo, you're also doing the same through LG Nova. But I want to talk about AI's focus for both of you because there have been so many AI startups that just haven't gone anywhere. And you think they're like a great idea, right? Okay, talk to any character through history, and it's very interesting, very sticky, but they have ended up fizzling or doing this new thing where like the founder goes to a big tech company and the shell of the company is sort of left, and somehow that's like an acqui-hire or whatever it is. We won't get too deep into that, but I really want to know from both of you, what does it take to create a successful AI startup today? Is there something that's working?
You want me to? Yeah. A successful AI startup is always going, or any startup, to tell the truth, is always going to start with a pain point that's crying out to be solved, a potential large and growing market, a team that's superbly put together to serve that particular problem in technology and solution, and a value proposition where the value to the customers is overwhelmingly positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you seeing that with artificial intelligence today?
Well,
Or
we're
is
starting.
people just are just giving a solution, trying to invent?
Depends on the startups, right? But we've already seen that there are fundamental ventures, platform, I would call them, ventures that other ventures can be built upon that are already having a profound impact, as obviously with OpenAI,
Model builders.
the model builders. There's going to be startups. I can't imagine an industry that isn't going to be profoundly affected by AI based on the platforms, the models that have been built. Every single one, real estate, biotech, any healthcare, you name it, legal, law, everything, agriculture is something I'm particularly excited by. All of these are going to be profoundly transformed.
Guy asking questions on YouTube?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the near term, at least, it seems like a lot of the biggest solutions that AI is being applied for are big enterprise solutions, right? It's just one of those things with technology. It seems like there's always businesses are less demanding than consumers, at least when it comes to like how the software looks, how it works, but generally more forgiving because they're shipping and trying to run ahead pretty fast. And we use technology sometimes to paper over the problems. And also, there's a pretty good ROI for a business if you can solve something. So generally, that's where new technology tends to see the return on investment first. So Sokwoo, I'm curious to hear from your perspective. The enterprise opportunity in AI, is that bigger than consumer now? And how big is it?
So I would say it's a bigger or smaller, but I completely agree with what Noma said. AI is essentially an enabler. That's what I call it, enabling novels. Usually, enabling technology does not make a lot of money. I mean, so if you go back to sort of like early days of internet, so there's a lot of investment in the fiber optics. So I kind of see this current build of infrastructure in AI as so like at the days of fiber optic. They invested tons of money, and they eventually ended up with overcapacity. It took multiple decades, actually 10 years or more, to get to the point they find a right application like video streams. So at the end of the day, eventually there will be a lot of the application focused startups or vertical focused startups that leverages AI. I think that's the really real market is. But I also understand without infrastructure, we cannot get there. So I think we are in that kind of journey.
Right. And are you, through LG Nova, seeing AI startups that are helping enterprises and actually in the world right now solving problems?
Yes, most of the startups that we deal with, they're trying to solve the issues, the B2B or enterprise.
Right.
So it's simply because probably that's more perceivable. Those problems are easier to notice and easier to pinpoint at this point. Consumers are like, you turn on the light and turn up the light. Is it a problem? It's more a convenience.
Yeah.
Businesses are like, if you do it, that it's going to cut costs for 20% or not.
And the model builders, it seems like the revenue that they're making is largely through API right now and not chatbots, not as much through chatbots, although ChatGPT has some crazy numbers in premium, but it's the APIs that are leading this at the moment.
That's absolutely true.
So Norman, let's talk about these model builders. So they're all trying to race towards artificial general intelligence, this sort of godlike AI. And this whole first half of our conversation, we're talking about startups and how they're going to handle this stuff. Okay, so if I'm a startup building on a foundational model that's being built by an OpenAI or Anthropic, and I know their goal is to create effectively omniscient artificial intelligence, what am I doing? Because eventually, isn't the sort of God models from OpenAI, from Anthropic, just going to subsume and do what I'm trying to do anyway? Why would I be building? I mean, what do you think about this? Is there some conflict there? Do you think that these model builders will eventually just subsume all AI startups?
There's certainly a risk that the model builders can dominate the industries, particular industries that their models are most effective, if that's their goal. There's a great risk. And also, those model builders are spending tens of or hundreds of millions of dollars per training and exercise and in order to get to the point where these models are effective in solving these problems. So you can imagine a world where the 5 or so companies in the world can kind of dominate everything. That's one dystopian world. Then there's another world, more like Sokwoo was talking about, where there's an infrastructure that's been created. And from that infrastructure, many companies will dominate vertical areas. Why will they dominate verticals in particular industries? Because they're going to have the data and the expertise and the focus on specific consumer segments that are going to be most effective at reaching those consumer segments. So from my point of view, I believe that these big companies will never try to focus sufficiently on the market verticals that will really make a huge difference to that particular market. And so the industry will flourish in each of these individual markets.
Sokwoo, do you agree? It's the application of the technology?
Point is this: if you look at internet, how internet go, there were companies like Freecom and Cisco. Cisco is still a great company, yes, but they built infrastructure. And then after that, there are new companies like Google, Meta, and all these companies came out of that built their application on top of it. So I think, if you look at it, AI is on that path, that journey right now. So I think eventually they're going to both survive, but they're going to play different role.
Does AI become an operating system?
When we first created Siri, our vision was very specific. It was to be a do engine instead of a search engine. And what we meant by a do engine was understand a person's intent, a request to do something. It always had to be a request to do something. Buy me a ticket, get me a hotel reservation, get me to the nearest the information on the nearest train station or whatever. And then guide me to it or buy me or whatever. So the whole point again was Siri was a do engine, and in that sense would do everything for you. Okay. Instead of search for something, it would do it for you. Apple purchased Siri, Steve Jobs, and they, in 2010, they took Siri as it was and reinvented it for the Apple purposes. So that would access Apple Calendar, Apple Mail, all of those things. So we're now beginning to see new functionality that will start doing that do engine again.
It's come full circle. Your vision, AI that's it.
And it's only just beginning. It's only just beginning because it can do things far in this conference today. I saw one person starting a company that relating to a blind person and helping that individual navigate. Well, with this kind of engine and a Siri-like do engine, you could say with vision, by the way, not just speech and also text, get me from here over to the meeting 2 blocks away. And with that kind of device, it could lead a blind person over. So that's a do engine. It's a vertical. It's not an operating system, but it's a very strong capability for a diverse set of applications.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about as an enabling technology? Sokwoo, I'm curious to hear your perspective. You're talking to startups all the time. Sam Altman has this thing that he says that he wants AI to enable us to have a one-person unicorn, one-person billion-dollar startup. We're not there yet. but it is helping companies build better and build faster. So what have you seen when it comes to AI as an enabling technology?
I'm actually seeing it. The companies that new startups are coming in previously maybe took 10 people to start a company, decent, ramp up. Now they can do it, one person or two people. Basically, that's because it makes easier for startups to do what they did using enterprise software. Now where they enabled by AI. So HR function or all these things could be done much more. Even coding can be done easily. So I think that's definitely happening.
Now, what do you think about that type of power?
I think AI absolutely helps enable the creation of new startups. That's what you mean. And I also think that it makes humans more of a superpower themselves. So rather than replace, it helps more capable human capability to do what humans possibly couldn't have done before.
So you're not in this is going to lead to mass unemployment camp?
So in terms of mass unemployment, I think every great technology has always been that fear it's going to displace people. I think it's becoming pretty clear now that there will be a loss of current jobs and capabilities and an enormous increase in new jobs relating to the deployment of new AI technology.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it changes. Like I remember a couple of years ago, there's an app for that, right? Everyone was building apps.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder, do we even need apps if everything is going to go through, let's say, an AI operating system or even on-phone intelligence, right? Like on-device intelligence that can pull, let's say, a review of like how a restaurant is. Like, do you necessarily need the apps that were just built for the restaurants, or do they just become something else? They become an API that feeds into the AI. What do you think, Sokwoo?
Actually, I don't agree that apps are going to disappear. And here's why. If you have a phone, let's say you have 30 different apps. In theory, you don't need 30 apps. You need maybe if all these vendors and companies work together to create one single app that can do everything, like that can do Uber, that can do Netflix, then you just use one app. It's same deal. So basically, even if you have AI in play, it doesn't mean all these hundreds, thousands of companies going to actually unify under one umbrella at one. I don't think it's going to happen.
What do you think, Norman?
I think that it's going to be a major new capability to deploy solutions that we used to think of as individual apps and instead just ask that it be done. Right? So you'll still wonder whether you're going to use, Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever. So you can't just say, get me from here to there. But there'll be a knowledge of you. The AI is going to know you, okay? At least in my opinion. People may not like it because it's too intrusive. But if it knows you, it'll know what you prefer, what your heating system is, what your home is, where you are. And so you won't need to say, call upon Google Map or whatever it is. You'll just ask for what you want and get it. So I do think that everybody will have their own application business, but I don't think we'll see it the same way as we do today with your iPhone or Android phone.
So this is a fascinating point. So you have a Siri, but all these other apps, like we talked about Netflix and all these things, probably going to work in the background.
They'll work in the
And
back.
it'll say, you tell Siri what you want, but individual apps, you may not have this own interface.
That's right.
Or it's going to operate in the background.
They'll operate.
That is a scenario that is definitely possible.
Those are all businesses. Those businesses aren't going to go away. But your access to those businesses are transparent. Alex, you want to take this video, record it, share it somewhere, and then get lots of people feedback about what they think. You think you have to tell every app to do that? You'll just ask the AI system, your AI system, by the way, to do that.
You know what I'm also finding is that we can start to make our own personalized apps with this new technology. Not necessarily in like a graphic user interface form, but I'll tell you one thing I did. So we had a show recently with Johan Hari, who wrote about Ozempic. And basically, his big thing is that if you eat processed food, you're going to be hungry a lot. If you eat whole foods, you won't. And Ozempic mimics the whole foods diet because it will just make sure that you feel satiated. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. I took Claude and said, which is Anthropic's bot, and said, I'm going to share every meal that I'm eating with you. And I want you to give me some feedback on whether it fits a whole foods diet, and then just rate it a whole food score 1 of 10. Now, what I just did is made a personalized, diet app effectively in Claude, but it's just for me. And I don't think this is something that like I would commercialize or mass produce. But that's, I think, one of the powers that these models and bots give us is we can start to program them with natural language and then have them do our bidding. And with multimodal, it's amazing. Right. Because I'm literally sending it photos of labels. It ingests the labels, it reads the ingredients, and spits out text based on how I did. That stuff is amazing.
By the way, not with voice.
Not with voice.
That's right. Because
this
everything
is the today.
Imagery, text, video, audio, everything.
I could imagine, though, like taking a look at something. Let's say I have like the Meta Ray-Bans on, which have the camera, and just being like, well, should I eat this for lunch? And then based off of whatever I've programmed it, it says, yeah, that slice of pizza is pretty processed. Maybe cook some rice.
What's important, though, you better make sure that privacy is part of that because, you just ate this, I'm going to send you an ad for that.
Oh, yeah.
So more and more, your vision, what you just said, is not only possible, but likely, unless people have access to your information and start sending you ads every which way.
Yeah. I mean, especially, could you imagine it's the processed food companies and they're like, hey, have a slice of pizza or a cheeseburger. And I'm like,
exactly.
Eat something in a package. I haven't tried so hard with my bot. Anyway, I'm way off schedule. So, time for a couple more questions. So we've talked a lot about AI. Let's go a little broader. What are some areas for promising startups today? Like if I was going to start a startup, where might I look? Sokwoo, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, LG Nova focuses on AI in healthcare and cleantech. And it's not coincidence we are focused in healthcare and cleantech. We believe that industry is going to only grow.
And Norman, when you're thinking of investing or building, where do you look?
Well, I'm thinking of AI as it exists today as the very first wave. And in that first wave, we're going to see transformation of virtually every industry, healthcare, biotech, real estate, you name it, law. Every industry is going to have either knowledge that's provided people or co-pilots that function with those people to perform those services. The next wave of innovation in AI is going to say, hey, folks, for these large language models and the generative AI, what's special about words? Okay. Well, words aren't all that special. You could have a series of motions or actions, and all of a sudden robotics could be a next great revolution.
Mm-hmm.
What's special about, and if you look at your brainwaves, I'm working with a spin out of Google on this called NextSense. What are we learning by reading brainwaves from an AirPod-like device that says whether or not you're going to have a seizure, or even more generally, whether you're depressed or whatever? So those aren't words, they're brainwaves. So we're going to start seeing generations beyond text and language going into other new breakthroughs. And we're going to see the same impact in those waves.
Pretty cool. So that sets up my final question so perfectly. I want to hear from both of you what you think the world looks like in 5, 10, and 15 years. Let's start with you, Sokwoo.
That's a great question. So in short term, 5 years, I think we're gonna just see more of a incremental improvement of our lifestyle. So whatever we are doing today, whether we overlay AI or top of it, it's gonna get better, easier, more convenient. 10, 50 years, I think you will have a very different world. Because as Mo said, maybe at that point, robotics, the physical world, now it had to be very different. Because
Yeah.
AI right now is just software. Right. But now, as soon as it is applied to physical movements of the world, which by the way takes a lot longer than just changing it in the code. But 10 years, 15 years, I think it will happen. So then all the sci-fi movies that we are seeing, hopefully maybe robots helping us at home, it may not be a stretch.
Wow. Okay. Norman.
So I agree. And right now we're harvesting the consequences of a remarkable breakthrough in AI. So
Yep.
that really was. And I'm usually skeptical of these things, but this breakthrough with generative AI, large language models, transformers is real. What's wrong with it, of course, is that it's also knowledge in the ether rather than fact or truth. It can hallucinate. It can provide incorrect information. So we're seeing the breakthroughs that we just talked about in every industry, but really co-piloting or helping humans. 5 years from now, we will first of all see major industries that have formed in each of these market verticals that are dominating those verticals. And we'll also have seen some incredible new science come out. Biotech with cancer treatments and discovery of how to treat these cancers in ways that humans couldn't even perceive. After 5 years, Sokwoo's right, there's going to be robotics using this new AI capability that uses, instead of words, it uses the motions of devices and things like that to be able to do that. So we're going to see, and then we're going to see the collision of all these new technologies together, one impacting the other. Okay, so everything's going to change in health and biotech, hospitals, insurance companies, you name it. The whole world of providers and payers in health are going to change. The whole world of robotics is going to be opened up to devices that can help people. And I know you say keep this short, so I'll say 5 years from now, we'll start seeing the rewards of what we just saw. 10 years, we're going to see breakthroughs in robotics, in biotech, all those areas. 15 years, I don't know, we're going to be in a world that is either remarkably successful in all we do, or we'll be in the Stone Age.
One or the other. It is amazing how, like, the power of this technology, it's either bust or just unbelievable abundance everywhere.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to make it a undoable success instead.
Yes. Sokwoo, Norman, so great to see you. Thank you again for making the time to speak with us here. And great event. Been enjoying LG's Innofest, LG Nova's Innofest. Sokwoo's putting it on. And thanks everybody for watching. Thank you LG Nova for sponsoring this video. And we'll see you back on the feed soon. All right. Until next time.